Hey everyone, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make hard industrial techno. I'm going to be showing you a bunch of new techniques I've never shown you before. I don't think anybody has, using tension and electric inside of Ableton, some of the synths that people don't really use for this style. As usual, you can get the full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that. It's really something you can do right now. I promise if you use this template, you'll make the best tracks of your life. Get what you've been trying to get and get unstuck, or just get some new inspiration wherever you're at. Links at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, guys, and let's dive in. Alright, so run 152 BPM, a little bit faster. We have a side chain up here. And then the first thing is the kick. So this rumble kick is made of 3 layers. We have our punch, which is a new kick I made for this video. This is like that, and then you can see we're cutting it at 50 hertz. Then we have the rumble in 2 parts. So we have the main sub, and then we have like this sort of overtone. So for the main sub, what we're doing is the same kick I just showed you. I'm using the stretch technique, where you stretch it out so you get this long bass wave, but it's very steady. It gives you like a very full sounding rumble that reverb doesn't always give you. So we have that, right? You can see I pitched it down a bunch, and then I'm literally just side chaining it, and then we're doing another cut at 50 hertz on this. I've noticed with these faster tracks, like the faster you get, the higher you kind of want to cut your bass. So we got that, and then this layer is the same thing with a little bit more fade in, and then it's going through a reverb, an amp. So I'll show you, like, here's just the sound. It's being filtered, so you're kind of like really just, okay, so it starts like this. Reverb, super short, amp. You can hear it really brings out the like, high pass, so we're getting just the low mids. Distorted again with an overdrive. And then taking just the mid highs. So I think what this shows you is like, when you're trying to do these crunchy, kind of more textured rumbles, the secret is like little things kind of adding up to create the sound. Then on the kick group, we actually just have a little bit of a limiter, not that much. And the key to this is we're not clipping going into the limiter. If you look at that right there, you can see that stays green. But then it's just a little bit louder after the limiter. That's what we're going for. The key to this is gain staging. You have to have it so you're not clipping with all 3 of these together. And then you can limit it and kind of push it a little bit harder. And then we have a utility converting it to mono. And then we have this hi-hat. This one's really just like sample selection, right? You know, just getting like a very fat, nice open hi-hat like that. We have this little drum rack with some extra percussion. So what it is, it's actually this beatbox kit from the Ableton sidebar, which you can hear sounds pretty cool on its own. But then I added a low pass filter with an 8th note LFO. I can hear it's adding more filter movement to it and kind of morphing it a bit. But then we got to distort it, which you can hear really brings that out. And then we're just high passing it. So then we have the synth percussion loop that I've actually created using 2 synths I've never used on this channel before. At least not like this. So what it is, it's this thing made with electric. And then this one made with tension on top of it. So, and then they come together to kind of create this one rhythm. So yeah, this is really good because for these styles of techno, you know, it's all about texture. And the best way to really make a unique sound and to really get your own kind of percussion is to basically, you know, create some very textured percussion using synthesis. So what we're doing here is for the first one, it's electric. And this is what the patch sounds like just coming straight out of the synth. And then I'll just go one by one with the effects. So it's literally like every other 16th note like this. And this is the sound that we're getting out of the synth. So you can see I'm using like pretty much just turning a lot of this stuff up. Like the noise is hitting really hard. You know, I have the time and the tone up with like shorter decays. So it's kind of just creating that. Then we have some delay. You can hear fills in the space. Then we have this auto filter, which has a quarter note LFO going up on it, but then there's also this automation. So you hear it's kind of like vroom, 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 vroom. It's like you're getting one slow movement and one fast movement with that. And then we have an erosion. A bit of overdrive. And then this is really the secret, is this auto pan here doing 16th notes with the phase down, so it's not affecting the panning, it's just the volume. That's how you kind of get all this under control, is like just have some like volume shaping like that at the end. And then we have a high pass. And then for the tension percussion, so this is, you know, just meant to be this kind of like deep, distorted sound made with tension. So here's straight out of the synth what that's going to sound like. You see, we kind of need the distortion to hear this one, actually. It's basically this just kind of like, you know, short, very short, plucky sound. You can see all the decays are really short here. Even the filter envelope is pretty tight. And then we're just distorting it and adding a bit of delay. And then a high pass. And then on that group, all there is just, it's being sidechained, both of those at once. And then we have a high pass filter. So then the next thing we have here is this crazy dissonant tension synth. So yeah, this is like a super hard industrial type of sound. Basically, what you're doing to make this one is it's all about the detune inside of tension. I've actually found this can be really good for these kinds of sounds. Like if I turn this unison off, see, this is what we're starting with. We're starting with this like just very metallic kind of thing that I made. Right, there's a bit of automation on the damping here. And then it's the unison that makes, oh, and there's also automation on the filter cutoff too. Right, just like opening and closing. But then what really makes the difference here is this unison. We have the detune at 64%. So you're getting this like very dissonant thing, especially with 4 voices. But it's super nice and industrial sounding, right? Then what's happening is we're automating the delay of the voices. So essentially all that is saying is like, you know, you have these 4 voices. When you hit unison, that's what it does. It's 4 of these tensions at once. So this delay here is just like pushing the other 3 voices after the first one, if that makes any sense. Which is sick, you can hear. You know, it'll give you these like crazy movements. So it's really just a lot of automation, and particularly playing with that crazy unison inside of tension that I found. Then just a bit of delay, 8th notes. Amp. Which ironically kind of like limits it out too and keeps it from clipping. Sidechain, and then a high pass. So then we got this little operator effects. So the first thing I want to show you this is, notice it's very tight staccato notes, right? And then what's happening is we have this operator patch where we have a square wave and then we're FMing it with a sine wave. The sine wave is a few octaves down though. There's also a little bit of this sine wave a few octaves up too. And then what's happening is we're automating 2 things. We're automating this volume of oscillator B, right? But then that's kind of like that on its own. Which, side note, if you want to get this template and turn off the filter, that would be a really cool sound. But then we have the bandpass filter here with a hard shaper, and then we're also automating that at the same time. And you see, it's really like the way the automation works. Like, you know, the way, like, on that last note, I made sure it was all the way down. So you just get that one. You know, and then over here, I just took out that last note. But it really is the automation making this one. There's also a pitch envelope giving it like a whomp, kind of like. You can see if I turn that off, it's a little bit flatter. Then we have a bit of delay, dotted 8th notes, a bit of overdrive, literally just like 9%. But this sound is really more so sounding like that because of the FM. It's not really about distortion too much. And then we just have a high pass filter. Then we have these little stabs down here. These are all these kind of sounds that are going to sort of like fill in that main groove. And even if I turn off those synths I just showed you, right? Like that's a lot of that. And so basically what's happening here is this first one, it's this thing with wavetable. So what we got going on here is it's FM, this FM harmonics wavetable, and then this beating 2 wavetable. And then we have an envelope on those, which is going up. So you see it's just making it over the course of that sound. And then we also have an envelope on the filter, which is like a little bit different. And that's really what gives you the like, kind of like just that nice fade in. Then we have a ton of unisons, literally all the way up on the noise unison. We have overdrive and then reverb. So here's without those. And there we go. Pretty simple to make that kind of a stab. Then we have this one with wavetable, which is more like plucky and percussive, right? So this one we're using this amber wavetable and then a square wave, which is detuned a ton. You can see literally one of them is -50 and one of them is +50. It's just like this intense, like super detuning. And then we have an envelope on oscillator 1's wavetable position, the FM amount of oscillator 1 too, because we're using a bit of FM. You can see down there. And then we have that on the filter frequency. Then we have this phase sync unison, which actually makes a big difference. Like if I turn that off, or try to go to one of these other settings, it's really best with the phase sync. We have a bit of hybrid reverb, and then this pedal. And then the last sound down here is this tension stab. So again, tension is really good for techno sounds. It's super underrated because it's so organic and you can play with all these little parameters and honestly not even super know what you're doing, but just kind of like find cool stuff like this. So here's what it sounds like just straight out of tension. Right? It's just like this little like plectrum sound. The damper and like the termination in the body are really helping this. Like if I turn the body off. So that's what really gives it that kind of like full sound. We've got a bit of hybrid reverb. Also, this one has some unison as well. A bit of overdrive after the reverb. So it kind of all becomes one thing, right? And then a high pass filter. And there we are. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full template, the samples, the MIDI, the presets, and the project file. It's all available at the top of the description on my website. It's a really great way to support me, but it's really, honestly, about giving back to you guys. You know, creating the templates that I wish were out there when I was trying to learn. This is a super accessible, affordable, high-quality, professional level template that you can grab right now that will take your tracks to the next level today. I promise you it will help you get wherever you've been trying to get. Thank you so much for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.